What's up, everybody? Welcome to Inside the Mavs. It's your man, Kevin Gray of DLLS Sports on DLLS Mavs. Appreciate you joining me here exclusively on Kevin Gray Sports on YouTube. You can find me on X at Kevin Gray Sports, and you can catch me 5 times a week on DLLS Sports covering the Mavericks for DLLS Mavs with my guys Bobby Carella, Tim Cato, and the legendary Mark Stein. The Mavericks take care of business in their home opener against the San Antonio Spurs with a 120-109 win. Klay Thompson, the star in his Mavericks debut with 22 points, knocking down 6 3-pointers, a franchise record for a debut for a Dallas Maverick, as Klay Thompson showing that he still got it and proving that you still can't leave him open, especially when he's got Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving playing alongside him. Luka Doncic playing much better in the second half, where he was able to get things going, was 5 of 11 from the field in the second half, 4 of 6 from downtown, finished the game with 28 points, had 10 rebounds, 8 assists, a couple assists shy of a triple-double. Dereck Lively was sensational with 15 points and 11 rebounds in his debut, season debut, I should say, for the Mavericks. Daniel Gafford got the start at the center position as Dereck Lively came off the bench. It was terrific in nearly 28 minutes, but it was a star-studded night at the American Airlines Center, and the Mavericks got off to a great start, being 1-0 now going into their next game when they take on the Phoenix Suns. But the star of the night was Klay Thompson. Of course, a lot of star power on the floor between Luka Doncic and second-year sensation Victor Wembanyama. Chris Paul in his 19th season at 39 years of age, making his debut with the San Antonio Spurs, a game Spurs team led by Julian Champagnie, who had a really nice night for San Antonio, but the Mavericks proved to be too much in the second half. After being down 49-47, they were able to open up the third quarter on what was a 22-6 run to turn a 2-point deficit into what was a 14-point lead at 69-55 with just over 7 minutes left in the third quarter. As the three ball started to get going for the Mavericks, Klay Thompson knocking down a couple of threes, Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving getting to the act as well. The Mavericks in total made 19 threes on what was 44 attempts, shooting over 43% from downtown. And you could tell that in the second half, especially as Luka got his legs under him, this team was able to really get things going offensively. San Antonio made it a little bit of a game, getting as close within 2 with about 4 minutes left in that third quarter. But the Mavericks extended the lead back to 7 at the end of 3, and then they used what was a terrific start to the fourth quarter to really get things going, as the Mavericks were able to use what was a 16-3 run to open up the fourth quarter to eventually lead by 20 at 103-83 with just under 9 minutes left in the game. Ugly first half of the Mavericks, but at the same time, their shooting, especially Jaden Hardy in that second quarter, kept them in the game. But the story of the game, of course, was Klay Thompson. After 13 seasons with the Golden State Warriors, winning 4 NBA championships, he now begins the second act of his career, looking for one for the thumb, if you will, looking for his 5th NBA championship. Luka Doncic looking for his first, after the Mavericks made it to the NBA Finals last year for the first time since 2011. Nerves were definitely a part of Klay Thompson as he got started in his first game, but the pregame introductions, the roar of the crowd at the AAC helped calm some of that. Klay Thompson speaking after the game about the nerves that he had and how he was able to settle himself down as the Mavericks went on in that game against San Antonio. Here's Klay speaking on that after the game.
Well, the feelings were a lot of nerves, anxiousness, but after a few minutes and you see one go through, you feel great. And great debut. It's only one game in October, but it feels good just to get the first one out the way. And setting a record is always a great feeling and something I'll never take for granted.
An excited Klay Thompson, glad to get the nerves out of the way as he made 6 3-pointers, going 6 of 10 from downtown, 7 of 13 overall for the 22 points that he had, was a plus 16. Also showing it on the defensive end as well. The Mavericks doing a terrific job on Victor Wembanyama, where he went 5 of 18 from the field overall for 17 points and was a negative 20. Chris Paul was just 1 of 6 from the field. He had 3 points. So the Mavericks holding Victor Wembanyama and Chris Paul to a combined negative 41 and only 20 points on the night. The Mavericks taking turns defensively, whether it was Klay Thompson, Maxi Kleber, Daniel Gafford, Dereck Lively. Also, Luka Doncic playing some good defense as well, getting a steal on Victor Wembanyama. It was a collective team effort to hold the San Antonio Spurs to 109 points while their defense was able to keep them in it. The shooting came along as the game went on. Klay Thompson, of course, being a big part of that. And, of course, we did not see Luka Doncic in the preseason, had been dealing with the left calf contusion. He was able to get things going, especially in the second half. More on how the Mavericks were able to get this done in opening night to move to 1-0, what Luka said about playing with Klay Thompson, what Klay had to say about playing with Luka Doncic, all that more coming up on the other side of the break. But before we get there, let's hear from today's sponsor of our video, and let's hear from Aura. Today's video is sponsored by Aura. This year has seen a number of high-profile data breaches, raising serious concerns about personal information security. Dell suffered a breach exposing 3.9 million customer records, including sensitive personal information. AT&T disclosed 2 breaches, one affecting approximately 2.5 million customers and another one impacting 9 million customers. And finally, Ticketmaster experienced a massive customer breach affecting over 560 million customer records. But most alarming of all, just a few months ago, National Public Data announced that they had suffered a major breach potentially affecting every American. The incident compromised over 2.9 billion records used for background checks, including critical personal information such as full names, addresses, date of birth, phone numbers, and most importantly, social security numbers. It has been confirmed the members of the hacker group have released this sensitive information online for free. If you haven't been taking your online personal information seriously, now is the time to change that. You're more vulnerable than ever in today's digital landscape. Thankfully, I feel secure because I use Aura, today's sponsor. Aura monitors your personal data, including your social security number, across billions of data points like the dark web and public court records to alert you about potential identity theft. They also provide up to $5 million in identity theft insurance in case the worst ever happens. Plus, Aura offers a variety of other features to keep you safe online, including real-time alerts for data breaches, a VPN for secure browsing, data broker opt-out to stop companies from selling your personal information, a password manager to help you create and store strong passwords. I'm not leaving myself and my family vulnerable to data breaches. And if you don't want to either, you can go to aura.com/Kevin Gray to try 2 weeks for free. That will be enough time for Aura to find out if any of your personal data is exposed. Back here on Inside the Mavs, thank you for hanging out with us through our spot, and thank you to today's sponsor of our video in Aura. The Mavericks win 120-109 over the San Antonio Spurs. A really nice home win to begin the season. The Mavericks have 7 of their first 9 games at home. They'll be on the road when they take on the Phoenix Suns in their second game of the season. Luka Doncic and Klay Thompson starring for the Dallas Mavericks, a collective team effort to get the 11-point win. At one point, the Mavericks leading by 20 in the fourth quarter as they were able to move things along to get the win at the AAC. Luka Doncic, as we mentioned prior to going to the break, did not play in the preseason, dealt with a left calf contusion. We didn't get a chance to see Luka, Kyrie Irving, and Klay Thompson together on the floor, but we saw them together in the season debut for the Dallas Mavericks. And if it's any indication about what we saw against the San Antonio Spurs on what it's going to look like throughout the course of the regular season, it's going to be scary watching this offense play the way that they were able to, especially knocking down shots from the three-point line. Remember, the Mavericks have 2 of the 5 guys from a year ago that made the most three-pointers in the league in terms of Luka Doncic and, of course, newcomer Klay Thompson. Luka Doncic's passing was on full display. The highlight of the night, him throwing an over-the-head, behind-the-back pass over the shoulders and head of Victor Wembanyama to hit P.J. Washington in the right corner to knock down a three-pointer and really get the crowd going. Luka's legs came along as the game went on, but he marveled and was glowing about the way that Klay Thompson was able to play. Luka Doncic speaking after the game about what it was like to play with Klay Thompson and how easy Klay is going to make life for him and Kyrie Irving for this Mavericks offense this season. Take a listen to what Luka had to say.
It was great, man. Just, knocking down a lot of shots.
And he was moving out there. He played great defense too. So I'm just glad we got him.
To play with a guy like that?
I mean, it's easy to play with a guy like that. It makes your life easier. You got to find them. That's what I say. That's what I'm saying. It makes my life and Kai's easier. Makes the whole team's life easier. It's a lot of space. So great.
So Luka Doncic, who had 19 points in the second half, loving playing with Klay Thompson. And one of the things that's scary about this offense is that you saw what happened in the first half, a slog of a first half filled with turnovers and not a lot of consistent play. And the Mavericks were down by 2 at halftime. But one of the hallmarks of the Warriors teams that had Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green on those teams, they won, of course, those 4 NBA championships. No lead was safe with the Golden State Warriors, and that's the same vibe I got watching the Mavericks take on the Spurs in opening night. No lead is going to be safe against this Mavericks team all season. You saw how quickly they were able to turn a 2-point deficit in what was a 14-point lead with that 22-6 run to start the third quarter. Them being able to go on another run to open up the fourth quarter to blow the lead open to 20. That is how quickly this offense can strike when you got devastating three-point shooters in Luka Doncic, in Klay Thompson, in Kyrie Irving. If PJ Washington is able to consistently knock down the open threes that he's going to look. At one point, Klay Thompson was so wide open off of a pass from Luka Doncic, he was able to take a dribble and then be in rhythm to knock down a three. And Luka knew it was going in even before Klay took the shot, and no one was within 15 feet of Klay Thompson. Those are the kinds of looks that he's going to get all season long for this team. And if they can continue to knock down that three-point shot at that kind of rate that we saw last night, we're talking about an offense that could lead the NBA in three-pointers made, potentially be the best offense in terms of efficiency in the league this year. There should be no issues with this offense the way that they are able to go as long as that chemistry and trust continues to develop. Klay Thompson speaking about the amount of time it will take for this offense with him in it to be able to build with Luka and Kyrie, saying, look, maybe 10 to 20 games, but the most important part being getting that timing down by the time we get to March and April and into the postseason where it matters most, where the Mavericks are trying to get back to the NBA Finals like they did a year ago. But this team looked like it was clicking on all cylinders, especially in the second half. Luka Doncic finding his chemistry with Klay and Kyrie Irving, obviously, as a big three together. But most importantly, Luka Doncic getting his legs under him as well. Klay Thompson speaking on what it was like to play with Luka Doncic for the very first time in what was a successful night for them. Hopefully many more coming for this Mavericks offense in this team this upcoming season. Here's what Klay had to say about playing with Luka for the very first time in an NBA game. Take a listen.
I mean, it was great to be out there with Luka. What an incredible talent. I mean, doesn't make any sense because what we're taught growing up as far as being the best basketball player is you got to jump the highest, you got to run the fastest, but somehow Luka defies that. He plays at his own speed and he manipulates the game as good as I've ever seen anyone do it. And it's great to be a recipient of that and get great looks. Hopefully we can elevate each other's games and our squad, and it's a great start to a long year, but it's something that we can build off.
So Klay Thompson marveling at playing with Luka Doncic and the way that he's able to control and manipulate a game. And that is one of the beauties that we have seen for Luka Doncic. 5-time first-team All-NBA selection over the last 5 years, going to be a perennial MVP candidate, leading MVP candidate coming into this year, but playing and understanding the style that Luka likes to play. Klay Thompson getting a bit of a taste of that in his first game in a Dallas Maverick uniform. Kyrie Irving in this game, while yes, went 6 of 17, had 15 points as well, feeling out his way, of course, as the game went on. But for the Mavericks, all of the things that they were looking for from this offense, especially in the second half when things started to settle down, gives us a window in what this team can look like throughout the course of the regular season. Klay Thompson being a plus defender on that side of the floor, the collective team defense and taking the onus on themselves individually to contain Victor Wembanyama, not sending a lot of double teams over to Wemby's way. Each person was able to collectively hold their own, whether it was Maxi Kleber, whether it was Dereck Lively, Daniel Gafford, who got the start. He was 3 of 6 from the field. He was a +8 with 9 points in the game. Dereck Lively, who continues to have a really good start to his career, went 6 of 8 from the field as well. Really active on the offensive glass as the Mavericks were able to get what was 17 offensive rebounds in this game against the San Antonio Spurs. The activity on the glass, where they had a total of 50 rebounds, but most importantly on the offensive glass, where there were multiple putbacks, whether it be for Dereck Lively, for PJ Washington. They did all of the things as the game went on to really show that this team was dialed in, and the talent just simply overwhelmed that of the San Antonio Spurs, who were out Devin Vassell in this game, who's dealing with a stress fracture in his foot. So for the Mavericks, a really good start to the season for them, but the story being Klay Thompson and what he was able to do, going 7 of 13 from the field, 6 of 10 from the three-point line with the 22 points, had 7 rebounds, had 3 steals as well. So active hands for Klay Thompson. Again, one of the things that we've talked about coming into the season, can he show as a 34-year-old that he still got it on the defensive end? Not to say that he has to be at what he was in his prime when he was one of the best two-way players in the league, but can he be enough of a plus defender so that the drop-off that the Mavericks had in losing Derrick Jones isn't nearly as much with Klay Thompson now being on this roster? And in night one, he was able to prove that, showing the athleticism, showing the savvy on the defensive end to really be able to make things difficult for the San Antonio Spurs. And collectively as a defense, Luka, Kyrie, and everyone else buying into what Jason Kidd is selling for this team. Quentin Grimes, even though didn't shoot the ball well, but he was 1 of 6 from the field, but the point of attack defense that he's going to provide and the athleticism coming off the bench, this team is going to rely on that defense all season long to be able to be consistent, even with some of the ebbs and flows that we'll see offensively for the Mavericks when it comes to their shooting. If that defense can remain as it was last year, where they were the number 1 defense in the league over their last 18 to 20 games that propelled them to their run to the NBA Finals, that is what we're going to be looking for and what I will be watching throughout the course of the year. Because as I mentioned earlier, there's no problems with this offense. This offense is going to cook, it's going to hum, and they're going to knock down a bunch of shots when it comes to Klay Thompson and his ability to be able to stretch the floor and the amount of attention that he commands just being on the floor and the presence that he has already with Luka Doncic, already with Kyrie Irving. The other teams are going to pick their poison when it comes to how they defend this team because of their abilities to knock down shots, the ability for Luka Doncic to create for himself and for his teammates, and the consistency at which this offense will be able to move and put other players in a bind defensively on how they'll have to guard them night in and night out. And you got a small taste of that when the Mavericks were able to take out the San Antonio Spurs. A lot of fun for this team to get off to the kind of start that they did as the Mavericks look to take on the Phoenix Suns before they're able to come back and continue the early portion of their schedule. A very important start to their season. I mentioned earlier, 7 of their first 9 games at home, a chance to really build some momentum as the schedule gets more difficult when they see teams, obviously, like the Indiana Pacers, like the Minnesota Timberwolves and others. The Mavericks have got to get off to a good start because we know that teams like the Oklahoma City Thunder, who got a really nice win for themselves on opening night against the Denver Nuggets, they are going to be shooting to try and get within that top 3 to be able to lock up home court advantage in the first round of the playoffs and hopefully climb into that top 2 seed where they're able to really get themselves an opportunity to, if they do get to the West Finals, meet a team like the Oklahoma City Thunder there. But the Mavericks win 120-109. Klay Thompson, shout out to him in his Mavericks debut. 6 3-pointers, a franchise record for a debut for a Dallas Maverick with the 22 points that he had, a +16, doing it all for the Mavericks. Luka Doncic, a couple of assists shy of a triple-double, got his legs under him as the game went on. Collectively as a team, they put it all together to take out Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs. Mavericks get back on the floor when they take on the Phoenix Suns on Saturday. That'll do it for me here on Inside the Mavs. Really appreciate you joining me here on Kevin Gray Sports on YouTube. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to my channel here at Kevin Gray Sports. And you can catch me 5 times a week on DLLS Mavs, on DLLS Sports, talking all things Mavericks talking little Cowboys as well, although not much to talk about when it comes to them and the way that they've been playing. Mavericks holding it down when it comes to the start of their season. They're off to a 1-0 start, and looking forward to talking about this team all season long right here on Kevin Gray Sports. That'll do it for me here. I'll talk to you next time here on Inside the Mavs, exclusively on Kevin Gray Sports. Talk to you later. Peace.